Hi there! Welcome back to another YouTube video. So for today, I will going to show you how you can make a very reliable shop command or NPC shop. And by watching this video, you will know why using an NPC is the best way to make shop in your Minecraft realm or server. With this, you can assure that the player will get the item that they bought, and will not be stolen by other players while in the process of buying. Also, I have here different level of NPC shop so that you have a choice if you want to make a simple NPC shop or a somewhat complex NPC shop. Its difficulty will depends on how you will look at it. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive into the video. So before we start with the NPC shop, here I have a simple demonstration on why these kinds of shop aren't really reliable. Just ignore these commands right here. This is just a command to give me some money, and to quickly switch my game mode when I'm close in an NPC. Also, this tutorial is dedicated for shop commands that uses scoreboard money, or whatever your scoreboard currency is. So if your currency is something like a physical item, this tutorial might not be as useful for you. But you could still learn something from here for sure. So I would recommend that you still stay here until the end. Now for this first shop, let's just call it a button type shop, since it uses button to activate the commands. By the way, I made it as a simple apple shop. One apple will cost $50 only. Pretty cheap, isn't it? So when a player press this button, the commands will be activated to give me an apple while deducting me $50. And of course, if I don't have enough money, I won't get an apple. However, the disadvantage of using this kind of shop is the commands are designed to target the closest player from the command blocks. So if a player press the button, but there's another player close to it, the commands will be triggered to the closest player instead. It's like the player has been forced to buy the item, which is not a good thing. Let's not talk about the commands here, since I would really not recommend this kind of shop. Moving on to the next example. Let's just call it a pressure plate type shop. As you can see here, this shop offers an apple for $50 again. This apple must have been picked from a branded tree then. Anyways, let's just pretend that this is ground level and it's not elevated. In my opinion, this is a decent type of shop, since it can really target the player who is triggering the pressure plate. You just need to make sure that you set the commands in a downward position, and you need to make sure that there's no chance a player can get close to the commands. If you do that, you can assure that this type of shop will work perfectly fine. Alright, now let's proceed to the NPC shop. Starting with the very basic NPC shop. Let's say you just want a functioning NPC shop, not fancy, not elegant, just a working one. If you want that, then this kind of NPC shop will work for you. When a player interacts with this NPC, the NPC's interface will open and player can just click the buy button to buy the item. And the player will get the item, as easy as that. No sound effect, no text notification, just a pure simple transaction. And here's how simple the commands are. First, you need to set the command box to button mode. Then put these commands. First command will give the item to the player who clicked the button. You can change this to whatever item you want this NPC to sell. And this next command will deduct money from the player. Since I set this NPC to sell apple for $10, that's why you can see number 10 here. Now here we have a very decent NPC shop. A sound will be played once a player interact with the NPC. Also, the player will receive a notification once they bought the item, alongside with a sound effect. And if the player don't have enough money to buy the item, it will also give them an error notification with a sound effect as well. Now let's check the commands. Let's start first with the command down here. This sound will be played to the player once they open the NPC's interface. Make sure that you set it to on enter mode. Now let's move to the buy option. Make sure that you set this one to button mode, and you can name the button to whatever you want. And here's the commands. This might look hard to do, but I guarantee you this is quite easy to make. Let me split each commands so that you can see it clearly. Here you can see that it actually needs 6 commands only. This command will send a message to the player if they have less than $80. You can modify the error message that you want to send to the player here. This one will play a sound to the player if that player have less than $80. And this one will give the item to the player if they have at least $80. This sound will be played to the player if they have at least $80. And this command will send a message to the player if they have at least $80. You can also modify the message here inside the quotation marks. And this last command will deduct the price to the player's money. You can also make the NPC to sell a customized item. You just need to save the item using a structure block. The closer the item to the center of this box, the better. Now name it to whatever you want, but make sure to remember it, and make sure you turn on this remove block setting. Then just click save. Then let's just replace the give command to per structure command in the NPC setting. There, it sells customized item now. Now this next NPC shop is pretty much the same as the previous NPC shop. But here you can see that instead of one item, it sells 3 different items. The commands I used here is the same as the previous NPC shop. I just modified some parts like the price, the item it sells, and the messages. You can just copy it and paste it in a new command box if you want to add another item to sell. But I would suggest that you only add up to 5 items for the NPC to sell, since you need one command box for the sound effect when the player opens the NPC's interface. Now, if you still can't understand those things about the NPC commands, or you're just not a fan of those kinds of method, then you can break down the commands to a command blocks instead of putting all of them in the NPC's setting. This one works pretty much the same as the previous NPC shop. The only difference is this NPC is using command blocks to process its selling mechanics. Plus, if you use this method, you can easily see and modify the commands without interacting with the NPC. And you can see if the command has an error, compared to putting the commands inside the NPC. Here you can see that the only command I put on each button is a tag command. When a player clicked a button, a tag will be added to them respectively. And of course, the sound effect when a player opens the NPC's interface. So for example, I click this totem button, I will then get a buy_totem tag. And these following commands will be activated. This command will send a message to me if I don't have at least $200. And this one will play a sound effect if I don't have at least $200. This one will give me a totem if I have at least $200. And this will play a sound to me if I have at least $200. This command will send this message to me when I have at least $200. And this one will deduct $200 to me. Then after all of those commands, the tag will be removed from me. So basically all of those commands will be activated in a single tick only. And the other commands are almost the same as this first command block tower. But they will only work for players that has a certain tag, which they will get by clicking a button from NPC's interface. Here I also have an anti-grief system in case you use a customized item for this NPC shop. This is useful to make sure that the item will be picked up by the exact player who bought it. But since I'm already burnt out from making the script for this video, let's just forget it, since this is just optional. So EA, if you reach this part of this video, then you must be a legendary person. And because of that, I would like to thank you for watching this video till the end. And before I end this video, special mention to my channel members who are giving this channel an extra support. And if you're interested to join us, feel free to check the perks in the video description. May all of us have a blessed day, and bye.